Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Not Your Average Bucket List by Only in Your State. Today, we are highlighting an incredible listicle on our site written by Sarah McCosham titled, These 20 Iconic Hiking Trails Must Be on Every Outdoor Enthusiast Bucket List. Phew, what a mouthful. I'm here with my co-host, Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Marissa. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm kind of pumped to be talking about hiking trails. I feel like maybe this is a little bit of uncharted waters for our podcast. We haven't really dug deep into specific trails yet on here.
Yeah, we really haven't. I feel like we skirted over the topic and we talked about towns, we talked about areas and parks, but not really getting down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, which is interesting because I do think it creates this huge like crux of content on Only in Your State. Hiking trails are huge.
One of the biggest content verticals we have. Yeah. And it's something
Yeah.
that people love to do, people love to talk about, we love to talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting. I
Yeah.
wanna jump on in.
Are you are you a big hiker? Do you hike often?
So not in the sense that like there's professional hiking being done. I do love it. I love going to like Cuyahoga Valley National Park with like my dog and just like doing easy hikes. They're not really challenging. I would love to do more challenging hikes and do some traveling and really get into it. And um but yeah, it's like whenever I was in Yosemite and Sequoia over the last fall, I did some hiking, but I was with my three young nephews who did not have the same view on hiking as I did. So
Ah,
um,
yes. Not
it was
professional
it was a
hikers either.
no, they were adorable though. As soon as they figured out like they didn't have to stay on the trail and they could potentially climb up rocks, they were in. They just like
Mm.
that's all they wanted to my chagrin because I'm like, oh God, you're all gonna fall. How about you? Are you a big hiker or
Yeah, I enjoy it. Not professionally by any means, but I do like it a lot. It's usually something I try to do if I'm traveling and I'm in a state or national park. I look for
yep.
some hiking trails, start off simple. I don't do anything really crazy in terms of mileage, but it's
You're not
nice
like
to
going up the
see,
Pacific Crest Trail and
you know,
dehydrating all your food.
I kind of wish that is one of my like secret life goals
Yeah?
is to that trail in particular. Yeah, I would love to. Um
Yeah.
no, but I mean, yeah, like I don't know, hiking, there's not a lot of hiking trails in Florida, unfortunately. Obviously cuz hiking
Mm,
kind of goes hand in hand with like elevation and
yeah.
vistas and overlooks and that sort of thing. So, Florida doesn't really have that um I would say in abundance compared to other states, especially ones that we're going to talk about. But for starters, this article, what I love about this article is that it starts off. We're gonna drop this link in the show notes, by the way. So if you're listening, you can click on it, read along. But this article about 20 iconic hiking trails across the US, it's broken down into different categories,
Mhm.
which I think is really cool. So you have mountain hiking, canyon hiking, forest hiking, waterfront hiking.
Mhm.
So out of these categories, do you have a specific favorite?
So I really do enjoy just something different from what I'm used to, which you know, being close to the Appalachian Trail and Cuyahoga Valley, like there's a lot of forest hiking and not like extreme overlooks. So whenever I see mountain hiking and canyon hiking, that to me is so different and it seems like an
Yeah.
alien planet. I love that. How about you?
Yeah. See, I prefer, I think, forest hiking cuz again, just change of scenery.
Mm.
But I love a good overlook because I think for me, hiking, I love having a destination in mind, Like loop trails kind of
Yeah.
stress me out
Oh my
sometimes.
God, I know.
Cuz you're like, what half
Yeah.
am I on in this hike? Like am I in the beginning? Am I at towards the end? Like you don't know cuz it's just one giant
Have you
circle.
Have you seen the viral videos of like what people say on hike? Like it's just one of those memes that have been going around like of what people say to you when they're passing you on the hike. So it's like, oh, almost there. Worth it.
Yeah.
You got it.
That is so true.
Yeah. It's like,
Oh
oh,
my
that's
gosh.
got us pegged.
Yeah, no, that's so funny because I remember there was one hike I was doing. Oh, gosh, I think I was in Texas in Big Bend National Park. And it was one of the many hikes I did, but this was like a vertical climb.
Mm,
And I remember I was going up. I wasn't expecting this because I also, this is terrible, but I don't like to like look in it in advance too much about the hike. I like to be surprised. So
You don't want spoilers of like severe vertical climb, need rock picks and stuff. Oh my god.
100% elevation change. So like I'm like chugging along, and these
Oh
two
my
guys are
god.
coming down hiking sticks, and I'm like, "Hey, am I almost there?" And they're like, "To where?" And I was like, "Oh, just to like the top." And they're like, yeah, sure." Needless to say, because it's a vertical, it's vertical, so you're just going
Yeah.
up. And it took me hours to like ascend and
Wow.
descend, and yeah,
So,
so
so what's one of
yeah, it
your
was rough.
favorite hiking experience, favorite hikes, like your vertical elevation where I just
Oh my
imagine you like
gosh.
bouldering up like a rock face. Like, oh, I'm
Oh,
almost there.
terrible. I love desert hiking. I don't know why. It's just quiet. I
Mm.
love that, like, when you're hiking in the desert, or like I just went to Joshua Tree last year, and I love desert plants. I love hiking, and it's, not in the crazy heat or anything, but just
Yeah.
silence. You hear wind, but it's just like silence. And I absolutely adore it. What about you?
Um, I so the limited amount of like desert and western hikes I've done, I really really like them. I do love forest hikes, but I'm also someone who's like, and I want to talk about this before we get into the list, but I'm also someone who's like bringing every single self defense and safety item ever, and I'm
Mm,
like, there's got to be bobcats, there's got to be bears, there's got to be wolves, coyotes. I'm ready, so over
that's
prepared,
good.
and I feel like desert hiking, although there are still those threats, like it, it's just also like you can see things coming. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
true.
Like there's not so much like forest cover and stuff, so that's nice. And yeah, so I also really liked being in, I think it was in Yosemite. There was a lot of hikes there, and we're going to talk about one of the ones there I did not do, by the way. And I will say that there was one in Wawana, the Wawana area. It was the Swinging Bridge Trail. It was a really short trail. It was really quiet, but you like went over this creek, and you just had this big flat rock expanse where you could like go in through the like glacial water, get to the rock, and just enjoy. It was flat, it was safe, the
Ooh.
kids could do it, like, and not worry about losing one of them downriver. Like,
Oh my gosh.
so so it was nice, and it was just like very very beautiful, and so much like being able to like look up into the mountains to where like the snowpack might be is so much different than
Mm,
being in Appalachia, because it's just different kinds of mountains, you know? So
yeah,
that
that's
was really
true.
nice.
Yeah, and so I feel like these trails today, we're going to dive deep into a few of our particular favorites. We're not going to cover all 20, but again, we're going to drop the link so you can read it for yourself. We also have
Before
yeah.
before we get in, can I bring up something about trail prep?
Oh,
Um
yes, absolutely. Not my forte, but yes, please.
Obviously. Okay, if you don't mind spoilers for your trail and you want to prepare, I will say that I think a lot of people don't take hiking trails seriously enough. Like if they
Yeah.
see moderate 5 miles, maybe they're like, "Oh, it'll be fine. I'll be back before lunch." And it's I just you got to prepare for the worst, and probably won't happen. However, if you're going out on a hike, I will say check current trail conditions, especially if it's for like a park like the MPS parks. They have apps for this, and you could just like look on their website and see like if the trail's open, if it's safe, is there weather there. Also, download maps from either the MPS app, All Trails Plus, Google Maps, so you can use them offline, because you're not going to get a signal in half of these places. So,
Yes.
although you should be taking your phone and you should be taking a battery to charge the phone, you get bonus points if you have like a solar or manual crank option in addition to the battery. Um, but yeah, you want to make sure you have these maps offline, or you can go so old school, get a paper map, or laminated map. Those, you really can't go wrong. But it's very important to know where you are and not make assumptions, because if you're like me, I get lost on trail so easy. Even if there's like blazes
Mm,
and stuff, I stress out because I can see
yeah.
like a deer path, and I'm like, but is that
Mm,
where I should be going,
it's
where the
true.
deer went. And then I get curious and it's just a mess. So make sure you have maps. Also, bring water, safety supply, self defense items, layered clothing. And you should be bringing enough water and food for the duration of the hike. But also remember that animals have like a much keener sense of smell. So bringing food or leaving it in the car can be dangerous if not properly sealed and stored. And like, don't just like leave food or really anything, guys. Don't leave anything
Yeah,
out visible in your car. Tuck it away, put it in the trunk. I know y'all probably have insurance, but it's a real danger of just like smash and grabs, honestly. Like you're
it's
going to be
true.
so far away from your car, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
Um, Choose the right shoe and sock combo. I don't know if anyone else has experienced trying to wear a pair of new shoes doing anything, but it's terrible. You want to know that your feet are friendly with your shoes and you have backup socks and padding just in case you get like blisters and, like the little rubs on the side of the ankles and stuff with hiking boots. Um, and then I would say a couple other ones. Carry a source of light. So whether that's a headlamp, your phone, a mini flashlight. You should know some basic first aid. So like how big a cut has to be if you need to butterfly it, or ooh, does this
Hmm.
need stitches? Stuff like that. Or like if you get a burn, what's the first thing you should do?
Yeah.
And then also, most importantly, let people know where you're going and when. Let
Yeah.
someone know. Bring someone is even better. Like have a buddy because, I'm all about like be a strong, independent individual, but maybe share your location or let
I
someone know
agree.
because
Yeah.
it's a real danger.
Yeah, even if it's as simple as letting somebody from the that's working at the NPS or
Hmm.
a ranger just say, "Hey, I'm going to be out on this trail today." Letting them know something just so somebody knows where you are.
Yes.
I think these are all great and very important tips, and you are right that a lot of times you see it's a trail or you see that it's just, oh, this is a quick 2-mile trail, but you don't know what the conditions are. You don't know what type of wildlife's in the area. You
Is
know,
it vertical the entire way?
yeah, that's
Good
true.
to know.
It is a good thing though. I always bring water. I always bring a protein bar at minimum.
Yep.
Water. I have I'll take a paper trail with a pa- I'll take a trail map made out of paper with me. Because yeah, when you get up there and or in there and you lose service, that is a very jarring thing to kind of be like, whoa, this is real. I'm in the middle of nowhere and nobody can reach me. So yeah, those are all
Oh,
very great tips.
also, something as simple as if you're not able to pee standing up, bring some tissue paper. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's just like a reality, especially if you have kids who are like a little bit, maybe they're shy or like bring it for them.
yeah.
Invest in those kind of items because you don't want to be in the middle of a brush and like be like, oh, this is all poison oak and I'm in it.
Oh my
Great.
gosh, no.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
So,
You know what we could also we'll drop in the show notes too as well. We have an article about your hiking essentials
yes. Yep.
that we can pop in there too, which would make it a little bit easier for people if they just want to click and order some things and be safe, be
Yeah.
prepared. Yeah,
Absolutely.
awesome. All very great tips. Do you want to go ahead and kick us off with these trails and some of your favorites?
Yeah. Do you want to go back and forth by kind of trail or just kind of like how you want to approach it? Because I can ramble for ages. You got to stop
So
me.
I pulled my 5 favorites, and so they are starting with the mountain into
Okay.
canyon and then forest, and then I end with waterfront.
Okay. Same. So
Cool.
let's do it by type first. And I'm
Okay.
gonna start with, just because it's fresh in my mind, is the Yosemite National Park Half Dome day hike. And let me say, this is something you can't just show up and do. I want to
Mm,
say, make that abundantly clear that some of these you actually might need a permit. You might need to, get permission. Or for Half Dome, you need to enter a lottery. Like they just don't let anyone do
mm,
it.
right.
So you have to make sure you contact the National Park Service, sign up for the lottery. You may or may not get it. And it is a beautiful, like when you see the Half Dome in Yosemite, if you're on like the canyon floor and you see this giant thing at the very tippy top. That's what people are going up. This huge rock formation, and it's gorgeous. 14 to 16 miles and extremely challenging. So I know I'm starting off with like a, it's not even something I think I would do, to be honest with you, Marissa. It's like one of those where you're on top of this rock looking down and you have like a wire guardrail. And that's the only thing like, look,
Mm-mm.
I am not yucking anyone's yum, but that is the kind of thing that whenever I was up at Glacier Point in Yosemite and I was on a balcony with a guardrail, but you could see down to the floor and you're at eye level with the half dome, I was like sweating from all surfaces.
Oh
I don't
my
think I could do
goodness.
it. It
I don't think
was,
so either for me. You know, I'm already afraid of heights, so I'm already like, no, this is ruling out. Mm.
yeah, I appreciate anyone who does this. And I've seen some like
Yeah.
awesome like viral videos of like I think someone who was in their 90s did this hike and like it's
Wow. Good
awesome.
for them. Yeah.
Anyway, it is yeah, so it's one of the unique rock formations in Yosemite National Park, which is a gorgeous national park that everyone should visit. I went for the first time this year or within the last year and yeah, the half dome is just a giant, basically granite outcropping with like one of the most iconic. So you have like El Capitan, Half Dome, Three
Mm.
Brothers, and like all these different spots in Yosemite that surrounds like the floor of the area. So you can get on top of it. You're gonna have one of the most amazing views that you'll ever see in your life. So if you are able to get the lottery and you're brave enough to do it, it's one of those things that's so impressive, bucket list item for sure. But it's going to take a day to do, lots of planning, and is
Right.
definitely one of those most challenging hikes I think that I would ever take. But I wouldn't do it. Sorry.
You're
There's
really
a
like starting off with a bang here with these
I know.
trails.
Okay.
Yowza.
Well, I mean, let's scale it down a little bit. I think technically this is in the considered a mountain, but it's in the Porkies that we talked about on the podcast earlier. Was it this season or whatever season? And if you're not familiar with this, it's the Porcupine Mountains, and that is in Michigan, and it's in the Porcupine Mountains Wilderness State Park, and it's again another challenging hike. It's not a super easy hike, 8.4 miles, but you get to really experience the Porkies in all of their splendor. And it's just one of those, if you're going up to the Porcupine Mountains, I think this is one of the escarpment trail is one of the best ones you can do in terms of views and where you're going to see like, I mean, cloud cover trees, no matter what time of year you're going, it's just going to be a gorgeous trail. Actually, I mean, I think I want to say it's out and back. It's 8 miles. And I think it's just 4 miles to get to it. And it is an accessible trail. So I just want to say that it's not half dome quality. You can do it.
Mm.
You're not going to be climbing up rock faces, but it's not a short and easy out and back mile and a half hike, which some of these are. Don't worry. Some of these on the list I think are like you can take your family or maybe a dog on it. So
Yeah.
um and I also for the mountains, I did want to mention the Mount Rainier National Park Burroughs Mountain Hike. Once again, this is a western hike with views and scenery that to me is just puts you on another world and
Yeah.
it feels like you're in the Alps or something because you are going up these paths with the Rockies in the background and they're just gorgeous and huge and you're able to go through, and see these series of peaks in Mount Rainier's northeast slope that's just gorgeous. You can reach the like all of the Burroughs mountain views via several trail routes, but the ones we're highlighting here, the main one, the Burroughs Mountain hike, is I don't know. I don't think it's extremely challenging. It's about 9 miles, but it's challenging enough to where I feel like it's going to be for more moderate or like experienced hikers. It's not like
Yeah.
hop out of your car, you do a quick out and back, and then you're back in the car.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's the reviews I've seen on the hike is that it's challenging, but it's one of the best things to do, especially in the Mount Rainier National Park. So those are my mountain trails. I wouldn't do one of them, but I would do the Porkies and the one in Washington. I think both of those sound great.
Yeah, they do. There's something to me about West Coast hiking that I really love, and probably the views, probably just also the climate. I mean, I love hiking and then being able to wear layers, and it's still kind of cold out, maybe a little rainy. I don't
Yeah.
know. It doesn't sound like ideal hiking, but
Yeah, but
for
there's an
me,
aspect of like romanticizing your own life. And I feel like
yeah,
going on one of those Pacific trails lets you do that. I don't know.
yeah. I love listening to rain, and I feel like when it's raining in a
Mm,
forest, there's something so relaxing about that. So, well, yeah. So my one of my mountain trails is the Canyon to Rim Loop in Smith Rock State Park in Oregon. Speaking of Pacific Northwest, this one is a loop trail, and it does feature breathtaking canyon views here. And it's about 4 miles, which I think is relatively easy. I think another thing we should add too is people can always check All Trails for trail
mhm.
conditions. And then we also recommend getting an All Trails Plus membership. So you can just get
Yeah.
like a bunch of information before you go.
Mhm.
Just going to drop that in there. But so Canyon to Rim Loop, there are some iconic landmarks from Smith Rock State Park within this loop trail, which I think makes it really interesting. You have Monkey Face and Misery Ridge, and
Gotta
then
love
you
Mystery Ridge. It's like your Shades of Death Road. Like, just love that.
all right, these are like emo song titles.
Yeah.
Um, But so expect rugged terrain on this one, and you can reach the panoramic vistas of the Crooked River, which winds through the canyon, kind of just like wrapping everything up. Um, and then the other mountain hike that I have is in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which you gotta love the Great Smoky Mountains. It's I
Mhm.
think one of the great national parks that I've been to. And this is the Charles Bunyan hike, not to be confused with Paul Bunyan. And this classic hike is 8 miles, and this one is considered challenging. So, this is not one you can just strap on some boots and hit the
Yeah.
ground with. But this people say that this is one of the most rewarding hikes where you get sweeping views of the Smokies, and then the rock outcropping is known as Charlie's Bunyan. Sorry, Charlie's Bunyan. That's what it is.
Oh,
It sounds even
gross.
creepier, but but this one they do say is very challenging because you have steep ascents, there is rocky terrain, and you have no idea what type of wildlife you're going to encounter on this one. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so this
Gotta
one
bring
you
that bear mace.
yeah, for real. Yeah, so those are my two mountain ones.
Okay. And always, if you're in the Appalachians and like the Smoky Mountains, you got to watch out for cryptids. You never know who you're going to see if you're out on these trails. So
Very
keep an eye
true.
out.
Squonk.
Oh, the squonk. Yeah. Okay. So next, we're going to be doing the canyon trails. Um, the first one I wanted to mention was the Horseshoe Bend Trail in Arizona. This is an easy trail, and it's probably one it's one of the most photographed areas I think in Arizona. Like if you see the picture of it, you would recognize it and be like, ah, yes, this one. So
Yeah.
it's gorgeous. It's going to be on the east rim of the Grand Canyon. It's Horseshoe Bend, where you get to see the river and the canyon just kind of literally bend in front of you. And having that view from up top is just gorgeous. So what you need to do is basically hike. You're hiking straight across the desert, really. Like you park, you hike to Horseshoe Bend where you can see it. Gorgeous. It's,
Mm.
not something that you're really going to miss. And then you hike back. And it's one of those things, I think, if you're out west seeing the Grand Canyon, you got to make it a stop. And it's not super difficult. You're not going to be at risk at like falling down some of those paths. Like I swear to God, whenever I was at the Grand Canyon, some of these people climbing over the ropes to take picture like Instagram pictures on rocks where it's very clearly saying like do not cross, dangerous. And I'm like, I don't want to be the person to see
No.
this happen. This is stressing me out. I hated it. I
Yeah, no, everyone respect your trail. You have to
Oh my God.
respect it. You don't want to have anything happen to you on these beautiful trails. It's not worth it. It's not worth the photo.
Yeah.
It's not.
No. And honestly, I think people, even myself included, you get this sort of like weird or immortality reasoning in your head, like, well, this won't happen to me. I'm just going to take a step out on that rock. I can see it. Don't do it. It's
No,
rocks are
don't.
hard. Your balance isn't perfect. Take it from someone who falls constantly and is covered in bruises. I don't even remember where they come from. It's it's just gonna happen. So be careful. Just don't take risks.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No,
But this
just don't.
1.5-mile trail, Horseshoe Bend, sorry for the tangent, is not risky and it'll be beautiful. So do it.
Yeah. It is well worth it. Definitely. That
Mhm.
was one of those places that I went to, and it like literally took my breath away when I saw it. It's
Yeah.
just so huge, and you're looking down on it, and it's just like mind blowing. I don't
Even
know.
honestly, anywhere along the Grand Canyon for me, like,
Yeah.
because there are so many spots to, like, park and they're, like, little, like, restaurants and, centers and stuff. I remember pulling my RV up to some I forget which one it was, like a welcome center, and, like, you couldn't quite see the Grand Canyon. I'm like, "Oh, I'll just go get some food and come back out." And on my way out of the restroom, I actually passed, I'm like, "Oh god, it's right here, it's huge." No matter where you go, it's gorgeous. Like,
Yeah.
I was
True.
stunned. But that was my first time seeing it, and I'm from the Midwest, so maybe my
Yeah.
shock and awe wasn't wasn't shared by
No,
most people.
no, I think it
Yeah.
is. I think anything like it's like one of those things too when you go to New York and you see these towering skyscrapers. There's something
Yeah.
about things like looming over you that you just it kind of makes you feel very small
Very
when,
small. Yeah.
you know, I don't know, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um,
So I
okay,
also
cool.
have actually, maybe you should talk about it. The Santa Elena Canyon Trail, maybe not specifically this trail, but Big Bend National Park, Texas. So you have hiked through this park. What do
It
you
is
what do you have to say
my
about it?
favorite.
Yeah?
I will always recommend going. I feel like I mention this every season on the podcast. It's my favorite national park in the country. I would
Okay.
recommend. I think it's such a beautiful place. Not only it's one of the only national parks that has different climates. So you have the mountains, which is a completely separate like mountain hiking. You go up through this vista canyon. It's beautiful. Elevation changes, the temperature changes. But then you also have the desert and exactly what
Yeah.
you're talking about, these canyons that you can walk through. Yeah, it's I would highly recommend this park.
Yeah, and the Santa Elena Trail is 1.7 miles, easy. And I mean, I can assume if you're walking through the canyons, it's not like a lot of elevation changes and you're just kind of like meandering through. So, and it's I didn't realize it was one of the largest national parks, over 800,000 acres.
Yeah,
Holy, that is a big
huge.
park.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's a limestone canyon grotto, and you get to walk through in and out, and it's one of those views that you'll be, being able to forget. So definitely worth a try. I haven't been to this
Yeah.
national park. I haven't been to a lot of national parks, to be honest. Uh oh.
I haven't really
And I
either.
and I
There
just
are
need
a
to like
lot.
start. There
Yeah.
are a lot.
Yeah.
What, 67, 70, something like that?
Yeah, there are a lot, and honestly they are so spread out. It's
Yeah.
tough. I really give kudos to the people that make it, that their mission to go to every single one, cuz that's what I love about national parks. Really, they just each one showcases something different, and you realize just how
Yeah.
beautiful our country is when you go to these places, which is really
I
neat.
mean, look, if I go to one park every quarter, it's only going to take 16 years to hit them all. And I've already went
Yeah,
to some. So I just
there
got
you
to
go.
start crossing them off my list.
It's just a
Okay.
cool 16. Yeah.
Nothing will happen between now and then. We got it. I'll do it.
Right. So I'm gonna switch gears to the forest hikes because for some reason my canyon hike
Mm,
is listed under mountains because I think there's an elevation change and you have
gotcha.
a vista. But the Hall of Mosses Trail in the Hoh Rain Forest in Olympic National Park.
That one
Have you
looks so
been?
cool. No, I want to go so bad.
I know this national park has been on my list
Yeah.
forever, and I
Hmm.
am dying to go to this one. This is, first of all, you talk about loving otherworldly hikes and trails and things. This
Looks
looks
so cool.
magical.
Yeah.
Um, and it's under a mile long, and it's not like crazy elevation changes. So this might be a good, like, starter hike that you're walking through a rainforest in
Yeah.
the United States, and you have trees that are draped in moss. You have ferns. It's just like vibrant green and tons of forest, and it just looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like I really want to go because of that otherworldly, looks like an alien planet, looks so different from where I'm from. It's
Yeah.
really gorgeous. Good
Yeah.
mention.
Yeah, definitely. Did you have any forest ones in your list?
Yeah, so I wanted to mention I guess this is considered forest, the Appalachian Trail in Shenandoah National Park, but not just Shenandoah National Park. Like the Appalachian Trail is very similar to the Pacific Crest Trail, where it's like spanning the country, going through all of these, um, like mid Atlantic, Eastern, Appalachia forests. So in the Shenandoah National Park, there are so many different. There's over 100 miles of the Appalachian Trail in Virginia, and you can hike on smaller segments. There are lots of trailheads, so I'm not going to just cover one, but I do think, similarly to the other famous trails in the nation, that it'd be worth just to like hike the Appalachian Trail for some length of time. And even
Yeah.
if the segment you hike is short and easy, it's just one of those things that you want to do before you die,
Yeah.
because you can drive through the national park and you can, go to overlooks and stop from your car along, especially in Skyline Drive. There's a lot of like automotive, like you could just like take this car and go through. Same with like the Smoky Mountain National Park and the Blue Ridge Mountains. Like you can
Mhm.
just like see it from your car.
Yeah.
But you should definitely try to stop on the Appalachian Trail. That was my main feature because it's something that would be very similar to what I see day to day. Like it's not going to be much different, but I think it's just historic and notable. So,
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Then switching gears, we have our final category, which is waterfront, which
hmm
might be also one of my favorites. Love a good water
yeah.
feature. And so my first one is Point Lobos Loop Trail in the Point Lobos State Natural Reserve in California. This one's a little bit longer, so it's moderately challenging, 6 mile hike, but absolutely stunning coastal views. You have tons of rugged cliffs overlooking the water, and the reason why I chose this one is because you can see seals and sea lions
Oh,
and migrating whales,
oh, that's
uh,
amazing.
which I feel
Okay,
like, yeah, it's totally
I'm
worth it.
sold.
Even if like you're hiking and you stop for, halfway in or whatever, and you just kind of sit and watch and just like, you know, like I love a good coastal view, and I could probably turn one 6 mile hike into like a 5 hour ordeal. But
Yeah.
yeah, seals, sea lions, whales, what's not to love?
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, I think I only have one of the water front hikes. Not to say that I don't like waterfront hikes, but this was the one that just stood out to me the most. And it's one of those that's going to be the hardest to get to because it's in Alaska. So
Oof.
it's the Nugget Falls Trail. There are so many parts of Alaska that look absolutely gorgeous, and this is in the Tongass National Forest. Like an easy trail. It's 2 miles, but with that being said, it's in Alaska.
Mm,
But yeah, it's teeming with wildlife. It's in the view of mountains and glaciers, and just something that just you forget that it's part of our own country. It looks so,
yeah.
foreign to us. And I think it's one of those that is a once in a lifetime opportunity to take this trail. The National Forest has tons of trails. So this isn't the only one. If you're going up to Alaska, do this
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah.
also, but also do all the other ones while you're there. I think that's probably a good idea. Um, so the Nugget Falls Trail is a great trek in the park. It is absolutely something, you don't have to be an experienced hiker to do. And yeah, you're going to see waterfall views, glacial views. And, that being said, I forget what season it is. It like spring, summer, but like mosquito season.
Mm.
Just be aware. Like I always forget that mosquitoes are like a real problem in Alaska. Um,
You wouldn't
like
think. I wouldn't
you would
think, but
no, like they joke about it being what the state bird
oh my
that
gosh.
it's so
Jeez.
that's something to watch out for. But yeah, the Nugget Trail in the national park.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
My last one is at the opposite side of the um, equator there. So we're heading to Hawaii for this last one. Um, the Kalalau Trail in Napoli Coast State Park.
hmm
This has been dubbed one of the most breathtaking hikes in the entire state of Hawaii. And it spans 11 miles along the coast, and people are saying it's very challenging yet so rewarding, so well worth it. because you are going to be enjoying sea cliffs, lush valleys, pristine beaches. You're going to cross over streams, and it just looks absolutely stunning. And you can actually stay overnight because you're making your way to the Kalalau beach. And then if you get a permit, you can stay overnight. So you
Oh,
hike,
that's
get
awesome.
there. Yeah, you can stay on the beach, bring all your hiking gear, your tents. And yeah, people just said it's an unforgettable experience, and you'll get to see all of this untouched beauty in Hawaii that not a lot of people are able to experience. So, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're up in Alaska, just hop on a quick plane and you go down to down to Hawaii. That
Yeah.
sounds beautiful though. I would love to.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just named about half of the trails we have on this list. So if you want
Yeah.
to look in the show notes, you could head over to these 20 iconic hiking trails must be on every outdoor enthusiast bucket list. Shout out again, Sarah McCosham, who wrote this beautiful article. And also, I don't know if you wanted to end it. We posted on our Facebook page, what's your favorite hiking
Yeah.
trail? So we got hundreds and hundreds of responses.
So many. So yeah, there was a few that I will mention from some of the Facebook posts. So Chittenango Falls State Park in New York. There's lots of trails there. I've seen quite a few like Havasu call outs in Arizona.
Mm,
I think that's also something that's so popular you need to book in advance. Like you can't just am I right there? Like I feel like they monitor the influx of people because it's such like an Instagrammable spot. They have to like monitor how
yes.
many people are going in.
Yeah.
Um the Bosque near the Rio Grande I've seen, lush in the spring and summer. And then we have the Cascades in Pembroke, Virginia, Lafayette Haystack in Lincoln, New Hampshire. It was challenging and beautiful. The Trillium Trail in Fox Chapel near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Rubicon Trail in Lake Tahoe, that's California. Coyote Gulch in Utah. And the Double Top at Baxter State Park in Maine. Moderately difficult with boulders, but at the top there's a gigantic granite slab and there's an amazing view. And these are all from our Only in Your State Facebook page. We posted there and we had community members shouting out. Did you find anything from the posts?
Yeah, a lot of the ones that you called out, one in particular, that Rubicon in Lake Tahoe. My sister's always trying to get me to go with her. She goes every year to Lake Tahoe.
Oh yeah.
And it's either like bad weather or just our calendars don't align, but I really want to go and hike there. It looks absolutely beautiful.
Well, you got
Bridal
to
Veil
do it for the
Falls.
podcast.
I really want to because, I mean, she lives in Northern California, and yeah. So actually, when I go out to visit her sometimes too, she introduced me to Santa Cruz, and that was one of my favorite hikes. Those redwoods out there, man. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
wow. If you want to
Yeah.
talk about
I
an experience, whew.
seeing redwoods and sequoias up close was mind-boggling. I would go
Yeah.
again in a heartbeat, and I didn't even get to go up through like redwood and muir woods and stuff. So it's
Yeah,
definitely
that
something.
is I feel like one of those life-changing hikes that again, you see how small you are compared to some of these other places, but
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we'll drop the link in the show notes to this article and hope you guys have a great time hiking, and we will see you next week.